Hello and welcome to Box, where we unbox, review and demonstrate the latest tech. Today we have with us the Samsung S95B OLED in 65 inches. After a long hiatus, Samsung has finally re-entered the OLED market with the S95B. Though Samsung are a little late to the game, they by no means have missed the mark. Combined with their own popular Quantum Dot HDR tech, next-level dynamic sound and detailed game enhancements, Samsung have waited for the perfect time to deliver what is essentially another first of its kind, with the potential to dethrone any other OLED on the market right now. Opening up the box, we get everything that's needed for setup just inside the opening. You get all the parts to the stand, as well as the usual compartmentalized bag containing the remotes, power cable, instruction manuals, and a few additional parts. As with each modern TV, the display keeps getting thinner and thinner. Taking away the external packaging, you get a glimpse at that ridiculously thin display. So with this one, you will need to take extreme care when removing it from the box. So laying it face down, we get a good look at the back here. It looks nice and clean and seems wall mount friendly, with the most used connections placed on the sides and the rest nestled in the cutout on the underside. The processing box on the back doesn't distract too much from the thin display and hopefully helps keep this 65-inch model balanced well when on the stand. Just taking a look at the inputs on offer, you get all the connections placed to the left-hand side of the TV. On the edge, there's two USB ports, two HDMIs, and following it round you get two more HDMIs, an optical audio out, a LAN port, and finally a collection of satellite and cable connections. The power port is located on the right side where you can connect the detachable power cord, which is quite generous in length. The stand comes in a few parts, but luckily it's not too complicated to assemble. The supporting arm just slots and screws into the metal base plate before clipping it firmly in place to the back of the display. Samsung TVs have always had a really well thought out cable management system on the back of their TVs, so even though the many cable channels down the stand can look a little ugly as it is, there are two cover plates included to fix to the back, helping hide it all for a clean and minimalistic look. Now it's on the stand, let's take a quick look at the design from the front. It's absolutely stunning for a start, with its paper thin display, practically edge-to-edge picture, and a stand that gives the illusion that the whole TV is suspended in place. We have the 65-inch version with us, and in the UK you can get it in one other size at 55 inches. When considering adding a soundbar underneath, for example, the space measures at about 3 inches high between the bottom of the screen and the surface, with the base measuring roughly 14 inches across and 11.5 inches deep, so there's plenty of room for any accessories or decorations without them blocking the view. The side profile is of course super slim, with the exception of the small processing box on the bottom. Though it looks fragile, the stand does an excellent job stabilizing the display with very little wobble when touching the inputs on the back. Thanks to the cable management, everything is neatly tucked away, and from the front it looks clean and effortlessly stylish, easily transforming any space into a modern living area. Powering it up, let's go through the setup stages. Everything is familiar and pretty quick to get through, including setting up your aerial, connecting to the internet, and doing any necessary updates. There are some stages that seem new to me, like enabling the intelligent adaptive features with just one click, and seeing these fun little introductory animations for the new look system that Samsung have created for the 2022 lineup. This new menu feels familiar to the other modern TV setups I've seen this year, following a tiered system of scrolling app tiles showing you all the latest shows and movies across the various streaming services, as well as all of your settings. I do like having the recently used window for taking me back to the input I use most. There is a new side menu here that divides up all of your media into different categories. At the moment you can just get the movie and TV hub for all of your video content, and the ambient tab for selecting a screensaver mode that shows soothing animated images and art in the background rather than just a plain black screen just like the Samsung frame. Depending on what remote you're using, it can be easier to navigate the picture modes using the standard remote as opposed to the smart remote. Now if you're planning on changing picture settings often, it might be a little tricky getting to these modes quickly, as the pop-up bar on the bottom has now been stripped down to kind of a basic level, encouraging you to use the main hub instead. Getting into the settings menu, it's great to see that Samsung have included some more in-depth energy savings options here to help you be a little more eco-conscious and try and support that OLED display. For the purposes of this video, I'll be turning all of the energy saving settings off just to get a better idea on the max brightness. On the whole, the settings menu remains around about the same, with the exception of the odd additional feature added here and there. It's still slightly awkward to navigate, taking a little longer than usual to get to those more in-depth settings, but hopefully as an average user you'll most likely only need to dip into this menu every now and then. Turning the attention to the display specifications specifications, you get a 3840 by 2160 resolution OLED display built with Quantum Dot Tech that uses self-illuminated pixels for a more naturally bright and colour-rich picture. It's also powered by something called a neural quantum 4K processor that uses layered pixels to manipulate and refine every possible aspect of the picture for a true 4K upscaling. This tech is still new, so I'll be interested to see how good the picture turns out across a variety of content, especially if it naturally sharpens SD and HD content up to 4K to make everything a consistent quality. You still won't find any Dolby Vision with any new Samsung model, but they do include their own equivalent HDR10 Plus for both video and gaming, which is a great compromise. For the majority of the review, I'll be switching between intelligent mode and the regular picture settings to find out which one comes out best. I'll also have the brightness set relatively high throughout to show the best possible brightness that the TV can achieve. Now, as this display is slightly different from a normal OLED, I didn't quite know how to manipulate the picture to get the best settings. For the most part, I played movies and shows and varying quality in a very well lit space. First off, I could immediately see how vivid the colour was across the board. Strong reds and greens stood out the most, with a brilliant sharp clarity in some of the latest shows and movies. I watched a couple of older movies too, and these did look sharper than usual, especially when taking into account the 65-inch size, so I know that the 4K upscaling does seem to work well in this instance. Using the intelligent picture mode, it did help when switching between content, as it managed the brightness and colour automatically depending on what I was watching. However, I did struggle with it a few times, feeling I didn't quite get the settings accurate, either making the image too bright or oversaturating and blowing out colours in highlighted areas. The motion is also a little bit of an issue at times, creating a ghosting effect in fast-paced action scenes, especially in older movies, but this really was easily adjusted by just changing the picture mode or adaptive features to better suit the content I was watching. You can turn the adaptive settings on and off easy enough in the advanced settings, but mostly I did solve the issue by just turning the intelligent mode on and off when needed and manually adjusting the sliders if I couldn't quite get the picture like I wanted. But overall, as you can see, the picture was amazingly bright with vivid colours and an exceptionally sharp quality, making some of my favourite movies seem more cinematic and livelier, like I'm seeing the full colour depth of these movies in a whole new light. You'll be glad to know that this TV is blessed with an ultra-wide viewing angle, making the most of that bright, sharp image even when sitting at a drastic angle. Combine the anti-glare screen with this and you do get a truly exceptional, consistent image no matter where you sit. Of course, the anti-glare coating doesn't eliminate glare completely, it just mutes it significantly enough to keep the picture visible no matter the conditions. I used the TV in a very bright space, and for the majority of the review, I found it kept to its word, turning even an intense light into a soft patch that doesn't distract away from the content on screen. With every new display, it's always worth running a few tests just to make sure there are no deformities or inconsistencies with the picture. For an OLED, brightness was weirdly not an issue here. Whether mainly setting it to peak brightness or just utilising the intelligent mode for automatic adjustment, it was surprisingly good in both light and dark conditions. Of course, it can be better if you disable the brightness reduction and optimization within the power saving menu, but as this can increase energy consumption, it's all down to how you want to use your TV. During the banding and grayscale tests, I saw no worrying deformities and the colour was generally consistent, which was a relief. Now, the S95B does contain some pretty amazing sound features that you'll find in most of the 2022 Samsung TV lineup. It has so many internal speakers firing in multiple directions to deliver a 3D sound effect that's rich and spatially aware. It seems like we're seeing the return of some of the Samsung exclusive features from last year, but more specifically, I love seeing the adaptive features like Adaptive Sound Plus, Object Tracking Sound, and Active Voice Amplifier. I don't watch the same type of content every time, so I don't want to have to keep changing the sound settings with each genre. So it's just great to remember that this TV does support automatic adjustments to a varying soundtrack effortlessly in the background without me having to do a thing. I feel this worked best when switching from a quiet conversation to a fight scene in a movie, for example, picking up the change and leveling out the sound as quick as the action on screen with incredible accuracy. Here's a quick sound sample to give you an idea of the level of quality on offer here.
What I'm saying. You sure? Very happy to go with the flow.
Well, he'll love that.
Now, Now, what puts the cherry on top for this TV is of course the integrated game features. As mentioned before, you do get 4K at 120Hz support for playing ultra smooth, high performance games on multiple next gen consoles. There's a healthy amount of supporting features available like ALLM, FreeSync and VRR to name a few. Controlling it all is easy to manage using the pop-up game bar in-game to monitor all features active, ensuring that the game is running to its full potential for comfortable gaming. I'm playing games today on the Xbox Series X, and taking a quick look at the TV and display green ticks, you'll see that this TV easily supports all the features apart from, of course, Dolby Vision for gaming. Now, some features do clash with others like motion smoothing and VRR, but I mainly found keeping HDR and FreeSync enabled a much smoother experience. It's all enveloped into the game mode, so enjoying these features is as simple as enabling the feature in the settings, so enjoying these features is pretty much automatic, as it's already enabled when you plug in your console, turning everything that you need on right away for the best gameplay you could possibly get. Playing a few fast-paced games like Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, I found it was smooth sailing from the start. Gameplay was vibrant, sharp and overall exceptionally smooth, and that's saying something considering the size of the display, leaving deformities with nowhere to hide. It just feels like an elevated experience compared to some of the TVs I've tested last year, largely making an improvement here and there for a comfortable gaming experience overall. So after using this TV for a couple of days, there are some brilliant aspects to enjoy, along with some areas I feel need time to adjust to. I thought the overall picture was surprisingly bright for an OLED, but the intelligent mode can be a little hit and miss when it comes to saturation and contrast consistencies. I love the overall intelligent features, they seem to do all the work to save constantly changing the settings, but most of the time I still prefer going back to the picture modes for certain content. So considering this is the first OLED from Samsung for some time, I feel this TV puts out an incredible quality, and despite having a few teething issues when getting used to the new style, the S95B is still a huge contender in the 2022 market. So what are your thoughts on the Samsung S95B? Let us know in the comments below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Box, where we have plenty of hands-on reviews on the latest tech. And as always, thanks for watching.